Okay, good evening, everybody. We didn't learn for about 3 weeks, maybe more. Anyway, this week is Parshas Terumah, which deals with the construction of the Beis Hamikdash, of the Mishkan, the Mishkan. What, according to the Rambam, Mishkan and Mikdash is the same thing. But in Parshas Terumah Tetzava is where Hashem is telling Moshe Rabbeinu the commandments of how to build the Mishkan. Vayakol Pekudei, Moshe Rabbeinu is actually building the construction of the Mishkan. So in this week's Parsha, the Torah is telling us basically a lot of general concepts of the Mishkan and even details of the Mishkan. But there's a few interesting questions. At the beginning of the Parsha, it says, the second pasuk, Daber o b'nei Yisrael, speak to the Jews, v'yikchu li teruma. If you translate it verbatim, v'yikchu li teruma means take me teruma. It should say grammatically, v'yikchu elai teruma, avuri teruma, take form unto me, for me. V'yikchu li teruma means literally, v'yikchu li teruma, take me teruma. So the Zohar says an interesting thing. The word teruma is really, if you switch around the letters, you have the word Torah mem. The word teruma is the letters Torah with a mem in it, which refers to the Torah which was given in 40 days. So the word teruma, as we'll learn later also, teruma also refers to the learning of Torah. And the Zohar uses the expression, now the Rebbe brings it down in Tanya, that what does it mean? V'yikchu li eisi atem loichim. Says when a person learns Torah, they are actually taking Hashem. They're taking Hashem. They become one with Hashem. It's not take to me. The Torah says v'yikchu li teruma. When you learn Torah, you're actually taking me. Now, what does it mean? We're taking Hashem. So we know the Rambam brings down, and now the Rebbe quotes it many times in Tanya, that Hashem and His Chochmah are one. Hashem and His wisdom are one. Because Torah is the wisdom of Hashem, so therefore when a person studies Torah, so they're studying the wisdom of Hashem, but because Hashem and His wisdom are all one, so they're actually understanding God. They're becoming one with Hashem. In Tanya, the Alter Rebbe adds to that, and he says that learning has a uniqueness, something special about seichel that no other thing has. And that is, if you have, let's say, a cup of water, learned this concept in the past. If you have a cup of water, okay, the water is in the cup, but the cup is not in the water. If the table is in the room, then the room is not in the table. Okay? The exception to this is when a person learns any knowledge, not only Torah, generally speaking, if a person learns something, you learn science, okay? So you learn science, the science is in your head, right? You take it, bring it down into your brain. But an interesting point is, while you're learning science, you can't study anything else. Like the expression in English is, my mind is in the subject matter. So it's interesting about seichel. The seichel is in your head, and your head is in the seichel. So it's an interesting unity. It's not like water in a cup, but the cup is not in the water. Here, when it comes to Torah, Hashem's wisdom, seichel, Torah is in your head, and you're in the Torah. So it's a unity. The Alter Rebbe says the expression in Tanya, there is no such a unity existing in the physical world at all. Okay? So therefore, when a person studies Torah, the unity that they have, the oneness they have with Hashem is unbelievable. And therefore, the Zohar says, v'yikchu li teruma. Take me teruma, because by learning Torah, which was given in 40 days, you become one with Hashem. Another question a lot of the commentaries ask, it's a very funny expression, v'yikchu li teruma. Take for me teruma. It should say, yitnu li teruma. Like it says even by Machzis HaShekel. It says Zayitnu. Okay, this is what they should give, not take. The Yichuli means take a truma. It should say Daber B'nai Yisrael, speak to the Jews, V'yitnu li truma. You should take from me truma. Why is the Torah using the expression kicha, taking, rather than giving? So the Rebbe explains a very interesting concept, and that is the Torah is teaching us that sometimes by taking, you're really giving. And by giving, you're taking. What does that mean? It means like this. There's a Gemara that says that Yosef mimashe balabayis eisa ima ani, ha'ani eisa im balabayis. More than the rich man who gives tzedakah, it's speaking about. More than what the rich man does for the poor man is doing for the rich man. In other words, when a person gives tzedakah, so the poor, he's giving the poor man $1. But the poor man is giving the rich man the opportunity to do a mitzvah, which is definitely worth more than $1. It's infinite value. It's the connection with Hashem. So the Torah is teaching us like this. Hashem set up the world, not only the physical world, the spiritual world, in a way of giver and receiver. There's male and female in all the spheres, in all the heavenly spheres. There is the mashpia and the makabel, the giver and the receiver. In life, certain people, for whatever reason Hashem set it up to be, there are certain people that are givers, like the rich man, and the poor people are the takers. I'm not talking about rich people that are takers. That's disgusting. We're talking about giving and receiving. A teacher gives, the student takes. The parents give, the child takes. It's all life. The boss gives, the worker takes. The whole life is set up in a way of giver and taker. So somebody could think, but look at me, why did Hashem make me a taker? Why didn't Hashem make me on the giving end? Why did Hashem make me on the receiving and the taking? I'm taking. I'm not giving, I'm taking. So the Torah tells us over here, V'yichuli truma. You should know, taking is li truma. This is the way Hashem set it up. Hashem set it up in a way that there's a giver and a receiver. And V'yichuli truma, Hashem says, when you're building the Mishkan, you're building this home of Hashem, that not only, as we'll soon discuss, is the building, the physical structure and edifice of the Mishkan. It's V'shochanti b'seicham, every single Jew has to build this Mishkan within themselves. Hashem says you should know there's giving and there's taking, and taking is really giving. Because if the poor man takes money from the rich man, he's giving the rich man more than he's actually taking from him. And therefore the Torah says you shouldn't feel bad about it, because that's the way Hashem set it up. There's a giver and there's a receiver. But the receiver is also really a giver. Okay, then the Torah says like this. This is what you should take from the Jews. And the Pasuk enumerates, it's different opinions if it's 13 things, 15 things. But the opening statement, what the Torah says, is this is what you should take. Zahav, Kesef, and Necheshes. You should take gold, silver, and copper. Gold, silver, and copper. And everything was used for the Mishkan. So these three words, gold, silver, and copper, is discussed a lot in various different ways. One famous question is asked. I understand they needed gold in the Mishkan. They had to build a lot of utensils with the Aron, the Shulchan, the Menorah. I mean, they're all built out of gold. They needed gold. Kesef, silver, is also they have to make certain things out of silver. Not everything can you make out of gold. Copper is a very cheap material. Why would Hashem want in his home should actually be a giving of gold, silver, I understand. Why did Hashem want giving copper also? Why would Hashem want in the Mishkan to have the cheshes? So it says like this. There's a very interesting brought down. It says like this. Zahav, Zayin Hey Beis. This is brought down in the Holy Sfarim from the Rishonim. Refers to, it's an acronym. Zahav, Zayin Hey Beis, stands for Zeh Hanosein Body. A person who gives when he's healthy. We're talking about giving to the Mishkan. Every person's Mishkan. Zahav stands for Zeh Hanosein Body. Kesef, Chof, Samach Pei, stands for Kisheyesh Sakonas Pachad. Another person gives when there's a fear. Something's not so so he gives money. Nocheshes, Nun, Ches, Shin, Sof, is an acronym for Nesinas, Nun is Nesinas, Chola, Sha'amar Tenu. The giving of a sick person who's about to die, and he says, give money to tzedakah after he dies. There's three giving of tzedakah in this pasuk. Zahav means a guy who gives when he's healthy. He's a healthy person. He's not giving tzedakah because somebody's sick, God forbid, or he's dying and he just wants to have mitzvahs. Zahav means Zeh Hanosein Body. He's giving tzedakah because he's healthy and he wants just to do the mitzvah of giving tzedakah. Kesef, like we said, Ksheyesh Sakonas Pachad. If there's something, let's say, God forbid, somebody is sick, or there's a fear, he's afraid something dangerous is going to happen, he wants to give tzedakah. So then it's not the authentic level of tzedakah, really, because he's giving it not because he really wants to give tzedakah. There's a problem going on, whether, God forbid, somebody's sick, or there's war, or there's a dangerous situation, and to get out of it, he wants to give tzedakah. That type of giving tzedakah is not the same category as gold giving, Zeh Hanosein Body, when somebody's giving healthy. But it's still even better than the last one. Nochesha stands for, we said, Nesinas Chole Sha'amar Tenu. The guy's about to die. So he says, give it tzedakah when I die. Yet the Torah says, so somebody could think that type of giving is not a real giving. You're dying, you don't need the money anymore, okay, give tzedakah. The Torah says whether you're giving zahav, you're giving healthy, you're giving when there's a fear, or when there's somebody's dying and you're giving tzedakah after you die, all those are different types of givings for the Mishkan. Even those types of giving, Kesef and Necheshes, is also in Avodas Hashem. It's something, right, that you're giving. He looks like he's dying, meaning he's separated from Kedusha. Nevertheless, he's giving tzedakah anyway. And Hashem says, that's the tzedakah that could build a Mishkan. Whether you're giving it healthy, a little bit sick, you're dying, it doesn't matter. You're giving to build the Mishkan, Hashem's Mishkan. That itself is something phenomenal. That itself is a type of giving. That's one concept. There's another concept called Zahav, Kesef, and Necheshes, gold, silver, and copper. That refers to three different types of Jews. The Tzaddik Jew, the Baal Tshuva Jew, and the Rasha Jew. Okay? When Hashem is building the Mishkan, Hashem is saying, I want every possible type of Jew to donate towards building the Mishkan. And then again, it doesn't only mean the general Mishkan. In a personal level, we have these materials that we need to give to build our own personal home for Hashem. Whether it's our homes are a Mishkan for Hashem, or it's our personal self-serve, which is a Mishkan, a home for Hashem. Zahav, it says in Kabbalah and Chassidus, is as follows. Zahav, there's gold and silver. There's a very interesting argument in the Gemara Bava Metzia. What's better, gold or silver? What are the two opinions? Obviously, gold is per ounce. Gold is a lot more than silver. But the problem with gold is it's not usable. That you don't have currency out of gold. You have silver currency. Yes, gold is more valuable, but it's not accessible. It's not usable. It's not practical. So there's an argument in Bava Metzia, in the Gemara, what is better, gold or silver? And there's different opinions. The same thing we find in Kabbalah, it says that gold represents a Baal Tshuva, silver kesef represents the tzaddik. What does that mean? Silver, kesef, in Hebrew is silver. But we say in Yedid Nefesh, Friday night, nichseif, nichsafti. Nichseif, nichsafti means I have a longing. Kesef comes in the word longing to be close to Hashem. That's the Aved of a tzaddik. Silver, the color silver, is a little whitish versus gold, which is a little reddish. Huh? Gvura, kesef is chesed, gold is silver. Sometimes it says the opposite. It's okay. But yeah, zahav and kesef refers to a tzaddik and a Baal Tshuva. And therefore, the Rogat Shav, other people say, just like there's an argument in the Gemara, what's better, gold or silver? There's another argument in the Gemara, who is greater, a tzaddik or a Baal Tshuva? One opinion in the Gemara Brachas, an argument in the Gemara Brachas. One opinion says a tzaddik is greater, he never sins. The other opinion says, no, a Baal Tshuva is greater. So they connect it to this argument in the Gemara, is gold better or is silver better? Who's better, a Baal Tshuva or a tzaddik? But each one has its advantage. So Hashem says, whether you're a Baal Tshuva, gold, and that's why reddish, red symbolizes sin. So gold has a reddish tint, but it's valuable material, means that's the level of tshuva. He had sins, and now he did tshuva. He returned back to Hashem. So Zav and Kesser, I understand why Hashem wants the Mishkan to be built from gold and silver, because each one has an advantage. Necheshes is also a little goldish, like the pennies used to, not anymore, they're stopping the pennies anyway. When pennies were made out of copper, it's a reddish material, but it's junk. Compared to gold and silver, it's nothing. The problem with necheshes is even a bigger problem. The root of necheshes is nachash, which represents original sin. So it says in Kabbalah and Chassidus, necheshes represents the sinning Jew. Gold is reddish, but the guy did tshuva. He's very valuable. What? Wow. It's very valuable. But this copper represents a sinner. So now the question is, why does Hashem want the Mishkan to be built from copper? Gold and silver, I understand. So the answer is, this is exactly what Hashem wants. Hashem says every single type of Jew, whether you're a tzaddik Jew, Baal Tshuva Jew, sinning Jew, you have to, and you could, and therefore you have to build a Mishkan for Hashem. We learned in the past, it's interesting, there's three opinions There's three opinions in Zohar and in Medrash when the commandment of the Mishkan was. One opinion says before the Jews sinned in the golden calf, Hashem told them already about building the Mishkan. Another opinion says it was after. And a third opinion says the commandment was before the Egel. The building was after the Egel. So basically the sinning of the golden calf was in the middle of it. So this represents these three levels of gold, silver, and copper. Tzaddik, Baal Tshuva, and sinner. If it was before the Egel, that opinion says you're a tzaddik. They never sinned. If it was after the Egel, they did tshuva. That's about the gold. If it was during, then that refers to the sinner. So the three opinions, whether the commandment of the Mishkan was before, after, or during, is similar to the three opinions, gold, silver, and copper. So what do you see from all this? Hashem is telling us, even when you're a Jew who is worshiping a golden calf, while you're sinning, but the truth is, even though the Gemara says, even though you're a sinner, you're a Yisrael, you're still a Jew. Not only Yisrael represents the highest level of a Jew. A Jew, every single Jew needs to build this Mishkan for Hashem. So you have different interpretations of Zahav, Kesef, and Nechesh. Either a guy who's giving healthy, Zahav, or Kesef when he's giving when there's a problem, or the Nechesh represents the Jew who's giving after he dies. It means he's completely dead from Yiddishkeit, or gold, silver, or copper, whatever it is. Every single Jew can build a Mishkan to Hashem, and every Jew has an obligation to build a Mishkan to Hashem. Therefore, you can't come over to a Jew and say, who are you to build a Mishkan to Hashem? You're a sinner, you're worthless, you're nobody, you're nothing. The Torah says, no. It depends. No matter what type of Jew you are, you have to build this Mishkan for Hashem. There's another cute thing brought down in Sfarim that we've learned in the past. It says the Yichuli Terumah, right? And we said Terumah is Torah Mem. The Yichuli means take out. So when do you take out the Torah? It says in Sfarim, beautiful word. The words V'yikhuli Terumah, when do you take out the Torah? Zahav, Kesef, and Necheshes. What is Zahav? Zahav is Zion, Hey Beis. Zion is Shabbos, seventh day. Hey Beis is Monday and Thursday. Okay? Zahav is Shabbos, Monday, and Thursday, you take out the Torah. Next with Kesef, Chav stands for Kippurim, Yom Kippur. Samach stands for Sukkot. Pei stands for Purim and Pesach. Right? So you got Shabbos, Sunday, Monday, Thursday. Kesef is Kippurim, Sukkot, Purim, and Pesach. Nechoshes, Nun stands for Ner, which is Hanukkah. Ches stands for Chodesh, meaning Rosh Chodesh, which includes, by the way, Rosh Hashanah, which is also Rosh Chodesh. Shin stands for Shavuos, Shmini Atzeres, Simchas Torah. And Sof stands for Ta'anit, fast day. These are the only days of the year that we take out the Torah. So the Torah says, V'yikhuli Truma, when do you take out the Torah for me? Zahav, which is Shabbos, Monday, and Thursday. Kesef is Kippurim, Sukkot, Purim, and Pesach. Nechoshes, Ner is Chanukah. Ches is Chodesh, which includes Rosh Hashanah. Shin stands for Shmini Atzeres, Simchas Torah, and Shavuos. And Sof is Ta'anis. There is no other day when you take out the Torah. It's just, so to speak, it's cute, the way all these things come out in the Torah. Okay, now.
Who realized?
Not me. not me.
That's all the commentaries.
Yeah, all the gematrias. I mean, people have great things. Okay, now like this. We have, when the Torah says, Vasili Migdosh, B'Shachanti B'Sechem, after he says all these things, the Pasuk says, Vasili Migdosh, make for me a Migdosh, B'Shachanti B'Sechem, and I'll dwell in their midst. Now, grammatically, you should have said, Vasili Migdosh B'Shachanti B'Socho, in its midst. Make a Mishkan, I'll dwell in its midst. It says in their midst. So Chazal learn, what does the Torah mean? B'toch kol echad ve'echad. Hashem's telling every single Jew, you have to make a mikdash for me, that I will live there. I will live within you. Okay, it refers to our house, our family, and every individual. Now like this. There's a very interesting question. When Shlomo Melech finished building the Beis HaMikdash, so there's a very interesting pasuk in Malachim. After he finished the Beis HaMikdash, not the Mishkan, the Beis HaMikdash, and the Shechina came down, the divine presence came down. So Shlomo Melech was startled, and he said like this: Halei Hashemayim u'shmei Hashemayim lo yichakoluch. It's a pasuk in Malachim. The heaven and all the heaven cannot hold you. Ba'avki Abaye says that, and this little, it wasn't a massive building. The Beis HaMikdash wasn't that big, right? By the way, just for the info, the Kaisel, or the Kotel, as people called, is not the wall of the Beis HaMikdash. It's a mistake. The Kaisel that we have today is the wall of the mountain that the Beis HaMikdash was on. The Kaisel is not the wall of the Beis HaMikdash.
The wall of the mountain?
The wall of Har Habayis. The Har Habayis, the Beis HaMikdash was on top of a mountain, Har Habayis. The Kaisel Maravi, if you ever do the tunnel tours, which I did many years, I didn't do this year. You go through the tunnels, and they will show you this is the back of the Holy of Holies. It's not a holy place. That's why you're allowed to go there. But Mamish coming to the back wall where the Holy of Holies was, the holiest room where the Aaron was, the Kohen Gadol went in once a year.
The shul.
Huh?
There's a shul down over there.
Yeah, in the tunnels. But the Kaisel itself is not the wall of the Beis HaMikdash. It's the western wall of the mountain that the Beis HaMikdash stood on. Okay? That's done for the record. So, what was it? Oh, so Shlomo Melech comes along and says, I don't understand. The whole world cannot handle you, Hashem. You're an infinite being. Avki Abaye says that. This house, the Mishkan, which is even smaller, the Mishkan and the Beis HaMikdash, I mean, how is it possible that they can hold you? It's impossible. So what's the answer? What does it mean that the Mishkan was, or the Beis HaMikdash, same thing, just temporary versus permanent? What's interesting, though, there's a number of very interesting things. I don't know if we'll get into it tonight, but when the Mishkan traveled in the desert, okay, when the Mishkan camped somewhere and they put up the boards and, everything, so that place was extremely holy. When Hashem told them, okay, move on, 40 years in the desert, that original place was not holy anymore. There was no Kedusha, absolutely. After Shlomo Melech built the Beis HaMikdash, even when it's destroyed, even nowadays, the Makom HaMishka, the Mikdash, the place of the Mikdash is holy. You're not allowed to go onto the Har Habayis. Some people know exactly where they think they can go. It's a big, big controversy. But the way we hold, you can't go on Har Habayis. It's the place of the Mikdash, Beis HaMikdash, and we're Tameh. We don't have the red heifer, we don't have the Paraduma, we don't, it doesn't work. So we're not allowed to, but there's a Kedusha that Hashem has in this structure of the Mishkan. Where do you see this? The Mishnah says in Pirkei Avos that there are 10 constant miracles that happened in the Beis HaMikdash. There's one miracle that the Mishnah doesn't even mention, which is a greater miracle than all the miracles put together. Okay, it says, the woman never miscarried, the wind never blew away the smoke. I mean, all the various different miracles, which were great.
Can you go through that?
You have to look at the fifth
Break them up.
parak of Pirkei. I'll tell you exactly what they are. But there was one miracle that is not mentioned there. And one of the reasons, a few reasons. One reason is because it was inside the Holy of Holies. Nobody noticed it except the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur. And he was busy doing other stuff, to realize it. What was the miracle? The miracle was, again, speaking about the Aron that the Torah starts in this week's Parsha, building the ark, where the luches were. The Holy of Holies in the Beis HaMikdash was 20 cubits long, wide. 20 cubits wide. Cubit is between 1.5 feet and 2 feet. Okay? So let's say, make it easier, 2 feet, just to round off the numbers. So the Kodesh HaKodashim was 40 feet wide. In the middle of it was the ark. The ark took up 2.5 cubits. So let's say 5 feet. Okay? So middle of the room, this is the room, there's this thing in the middle of the room. If you measured the whole room, it was 20. If you measured from one end of the ark to the room, was 10. The other end of the ark to the end of the room was 10. The ark took up 2.5. Right? Cubits. That means 10 plus 10 plus 2.5 equals 20. The room was 20. The ark took up 2.5. From one end of the ark to the room was 10. From the other end of the ark to the room was 10. The ark took up 2.5, and the room was only 20.
It didn't take up space, right?
So the Gemara in Yuma says the expression, Makim ha'arein eina min hamida. The place of the ark did not take up any space. It was space. It was a distinct measurement in this week's Parsha, by the way. Amasayim v'chetzi arke v'ama v'chetzi rochbe. It was the measurement, but it didn't take up any place. Now, this is not normal. If you think about it, you can have something above time and place. Something doesn't. But something that is place and synonymously is above place is not stam a miracle. A miracle could break place. A miracle could do, But to have place and above place simultaneously, that comes from a level of God, which is above time or place, above place and above place simultaneously. That means it comes from the essence of Hashem, right? Ein Sof. It's the truth is it's not only Ein Sof, it's higher than Ein Sof. It comes from the essence of Hashem. It comes from the essence of Hashem, which is above time and above time. He's above time. He's time and timeless simultaneously. He's time and above time simultaneously. Place and above place simultaneously. We can't understand it because we can't even understand what does it mean above place, above time. We don't know. But the Mikdash, and this why the Gemara says that's why the Mishkan was a home of Hashem. In the Mishkan, the Beis HaMikdash, people didn't see it because it was only in the Holy of Holies that only the Kohen Gadol went in on Yom Kippur. But there was this concept of the revelation of the essence of God, that time and timeless, place and placeless were all united together. That can only come from the essence of God, which is above both together.
Example of this in Beshlach, the Parsha Beshlach also.
Bishalach?
Beshalach.
about
It's not coming to my mind. Maybe when they were walking across and they're on dry land, but the water splits, and then there's like the water's above their head though.
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
So
when
what?
we're going across.
I know we're going across, but that
Water
over
is-
there, the miracle was that
Dry land.
yeah,
water above us.
no.
And
Well,
it's-
over there, over there is the story. I tell you what it says in Chassidus and Kabbalah, that the ocean represents the hidden worlds of God. Because you look at the ocean, you don't see anything in it. Dry land, don't forget, half the world is ocean, half the world is dry land, approximately, right? So, dry land, everything is visible. Ocean, like you look at the Atlantic, Pacific, all you see is the water. You don't see anything in it. There's a whole world underneath there, but it's hidden. So Yam represents the hidden levels of godliness. Dry land represents the revealed levels of godliness. Correct? Now, when the hidden became revealed, the ocean, Yam, concealment, became revealed. Yeah? How can, in other words, like this, if it's water, it's water. If it's dry land, it's dry land. Here, the ocean became dry. The ocean as ocean became dry. Which means, and this is the same concept, the concept is that at Kriyas Yamsuf, what was the uniqueness? Such a big thing. We celebrate the Shvi Shal Pesach, Chaz Yashir. It's one of the greatest things we have. Yeah. If you think about it, we learned this. I don't want to spend time on it now, but according to the Medrash, unlike the movie, the Jews didn't go from here through the Yam, through the ocean to the other side. That's not what happened. According to the Medrash that Taisus brings down, the Jews went into the sea, made a U-turn, and came back on the same side that went into the water. They didn't go across. They made a U-turn in the water and came back to the same side that they had to go through. Okay? Now, obviously, if Hashem made the splitting of the sea just to kill the Egyptians, yeah, God has a lot of ways of doing it. The Korach people, he opened up the earth, they got swallowed in. Hashem could have opened up the earth, and all the Egyptians would have swallowed in, and that's it. Why does Hashem have to make this miracle that the Jews, in order to be saved, they have to go into the Yam and sea splits, and then when they finish, the Egyptians go in, the sea goes back in. So Chassidus and Kabbalah explain that what happened at Kriyas Yamsuf wasn't stamped to save the Jewish people, because they just made a U-turn. The miracle was that hidden as hidden became revealed. In other words, not that light makes a room lit. Okay, you have a dark room. You bring a candle into the room. The room is lit up. Okay? You didn't transform the darkness. Because the second you close the light, turn off the light, you're darkness again. You didn't transform the darkness into light. You just dispelled it. Okay? The ultimate thing is when darkness becomes light, that means darkness as darkness becomes light, which means water as water becomes dry land. Concealment, and that's why what happened to Kriyas Yamsuf, the level of God was such a great revelation of godliness that even they said, Zeke, they pointed the kids and said, hey, this is my God. That means this is, if there's anything that you're talking about, this is what it means. Okay? What happened by Kriyas Yamsuf is similar a little bit, not at all the same level of the Aron, that place became placeless. or time became timeless. That means measurement was above measurement. Not stam you have above measurement. Here is a greater thing. Measurement became above measurement. Measurement was above measurement. Darkness became light. That miracle, and that's why the Beis Hamikdash is called Hashem's home. Because where do you find such a revelation of godliness that a combination of two opposite things coexisting? That was in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Mishkan that we were reading about in these same Parsha. Okay, now there's a lot of things. Number one, like this. Let's talk about. You could talk about this for ages. Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem told him to make the menorah. Okay. Yeah. And Perak Chafei Pasuk Lamed. Vasisa menorah zav toy. You should make the menorah, and then it says Te'aseh ha-menorah. Te'aseh ha-menorah means the menorah will be made. Not made. It doesn't say ta'aseh. It says te'aseh. It will be made. So Rashi says me'eleha, by itself. Tishaya Moshe miskashe ba. Moshe Rabbeinu had a problem with the menorah. Didn't know how to do it. Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, throw the keycard, that was the measurement of gold, yeah, throw it into the fire, and it became out by itself. So seemingly Moshe Rabbeinu didn't understand how to make the menorah. So Hashem said, okay, take the chunk of gold, throw it into the fire, out comes the menorah.
So why does it say it has to be hammered out?
Because that's the way it had to be made.
But it was made already.
Okay. No, there was many menorahs throughout history. The rest of the menorahs they made by themselves. So the question over here is, what was Moshe Rabbeinu's issue? They built. You'll see in later on, when the Torah speaks about the making of the Mishkan, the women weaved things for the curtains for the Mishkan while it was still, the wool was still on the sheep. Tovu min ha'izim, Rashi quotes in the Medrash, they were such brilliant craftsmen. What was the big deal with the menorah that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't understand? Okay, so they made it one piece. So they did a few old generations. They made the menorah out of one piece. What was Moshe Rabbeinu's problem? So Moshe, and not only that, and another thing, when it speaks about Aaron kindling the menorah, it says, Kainasa, so he did. And the pasuk says, Rashi quotes the Gemara, teach us the greatness of Aaron, that he lit the menorah exactly as he was supposed to. I mean, come on, every woman likes Shabbos candles, we like the Hanukkah menorah, what's the big deal? What did they do? They took the fire from the Mizbeach. That's where they got the fire. They didn't strike matches. They took the fire from the Mizbeach. Okay? And they lit the menorah. What's the big deal? Anybody can do that. What's the greatness of Aaron? So the issue with the menorah here is a few issues that needs to be discussed. Again, every appliance in the Mishkan we have within ourselves, because we have a menorah in us, a mizbeach within us, the ark within us. How to serve Hashem in these various different ways. Now the Gemara says that the windows. Now normally when you have windows, it's to bring in light. Okay, the windows in the Beis Hamikdash went out, but they went. The light was not coming in. The light of the windows of the menorah of the Beis Hamikdash was to take the light out, not to bring the light in from the outside, to bring the light So it says, what was the purpose of that? Simenu l'chol boi olam. It's a sign to the world that the Shekhinah rests amongst the Jewish people. Okay? So Moshe Rabbeinu had a few issues over here. Number one, Moshe Rabbeinu, at his level, had a problem. How can physical world be a home for God? Physical world is mundane, it's not holy. How in the world can a physical world, okay, be a home? And Moshe Rabbeinu had a problem with this. So Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, you don't understand. Throw it into the fire. What does the fire represent? The fire, enthusiasm, excitement, the vitality of godliness. Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, even though it's a physical object, but it's coming out of a fire of godliness. The enthusiasm, how does a person build a home for God? You do Torah mitzvahs, not because I got to do it, I'm bored, and, you do it because you're excited, you really want to do it, and you do all those things. So Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, throw the gold into the fire, and that is the way and the reason why everything physical can become the home of Hashem. Because it's all based on godliness, not on just the physical, mundane things it is. And then the same thing applies to the 7 branches of the menorah, right? In the Beis Hamikdash, there were 7 branches. In fact, it's interesting. I saw in Israel a lot of metal menorahs that were 7 branches. But I don't understand. It says in Halacha, you're not allowed to make a replica of metal of 7 branches, even if it's in a different shape. Whatever. That's a separate issue. I didn't understand what was going on there. But why was there 7 branches of the menorah? Why not 2, 3, 4? I mean. And like the Gemara says, God needs light. I mean, what do we need a menorah in the Beis Hamikdash for? In the Mishkan. It's light to go out to the world, to show the world that there's a divine presence amongst the Jews. Why were there 7 branches of the menorah? There were 7 branches of the menorah because there's 7 different types of Jews. There's Jews that serve Hashem with Ahava and Yira and, the 7 midos. So there's a Jew that loves Hashem, fears Hashem, awe of Hashem, whatever the various different levels of Hashem. So now, this menorah is kindling 7 different types of Jews. But seemingly, these Jews are very different. Okay, you have a tzaddik Jew and a Russian Jew, like we said before, is also building this Mishkan for Hashem. How in the world can you have a menorah of 7 candles that when you kindle the menorah, and that was Aaron's job, by the way, when he kindled the menorah, it wasn't lighting a Hanukkah menorah or Shabbos candles or whatever, birthday party. Aaron was kindling the neshama of every single different type of Jew. That was the difficulty of the menorah. But the question is, how is it possible that the same menorah, 7 branches, represents the holiest Jew and the lowest Jew? How could that be? So the answer is, that's why it had to be kikar. The menorah was the only vessel that was not piecework. They had to take this block of gold and bang it out until it became all the shapes, and there's intricate designs in the menorah. If you look at the pictures in the menorah, it's a lot of intricate designs of the menorah. But and they had to bang it out of one piece of gold. That wasn't bothering Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't understand, how are you taking a physical object and making it holy? To give light to the world, to show that God's presence exists. How can you take a fire and kindle 7 different types of Jews when you're talking the loftiest Jew and the lowest Jew? How can you do that? And that's why the menorah could not be made out of piecework. We are all from the same, in Yiddish there's an expression, they all come from the same piece of dough. You know, you have a dough, you can make this shape of challah and this shape of challah and that challah and this challah, you know. Every Jew originates in the same place. Every Jew is this block of gold, that from this block of gold, all the candles, every single Jew is carved from. So we all come from the same place. This guy's a greater person. That's all in Revelations. That's all in intellect, emotions, thought, speech, and action. But in the essence of the Jew, every Jew is the same. Like we said many times, 9 Moshe Rabbeinus don't make a minyan. And 10 simple Jews make a minyan. 9 Moshe Rabbeinus, you can't get greater than that. But the bottom line is, you don't have 10 Jews. I am not less Jew than Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu is not more Jew than me. We're both Jewish. Moshe Rabbeinu is super great, I'm super low. That's not in the essence. That's in the behavior, in the intellect, and the emotions. Yeah, nobody can compare to Moshe Rabbeinu. But in the essence of the Jew, that is the real, core of the Jew. Now, another thing that the Torah speaks about in this week's Parsha is speaking about, it's another, okay. We have, it's getting late. Okay, they built the boards for the Mishkan. Atzi Shitim, cedar wood, acacia wood, whatever, in Perek Chavav, Pasik Tazvav, Basisas Hakroshim La Mishkan Atzi Shitim. Okay? Rashi says, here. Where did they get the boards from? Okay, so it says, Rashi says, Yaakov Avinu came down to Egypt, planted cedar trees. When he died, he commanded his children to take the trees out. And he said, Hashem is going to command you to make a Mishkan, so then I'm planting, yeah? The Ramban, interesting, that's what Rashi said, Medrash Tanchuma. Rashi calls it from Medrash Tanchuma. Okay? The Ramban and others learn, no, there wasn't Yaakov Avinu planting him in Egypt. The one of the places the Jews camped later was Vayeshiv Yisrael B'Shittim, in Parshas Balak. The Jews settled in a city called Shittim. Some of us want to say Atzi Shittim means wood, from the city of Shittim. The Jews did business with neighboring countries, neighboring communities. So think about it. Yaakov Avinu schleps down trees to plant in Egypt. And 210 years, he says, guys, when you leave, take it out. Why couldn't the bother? Just call Instagram, let him deliver wood for the Mishkan. Why did Yaakov Avinu do it? And the Rebbe explains, I just want to say this part because it's beautiful, then if we have time, we'll discuss other things. The Rebbe said, because Yaakov Avinu, and that's why the Medrash is called Rabbi Tanchuma. His name was Tanchuma.
Whose name was that?
The Medrash that said that Yaakov Avinu planted the trees, it was Medrash Tanchuma. I mean, there's a Rabbi Tanchuma. It's a Medrash that Rabbi Tanchuma said. Now, Tanchuma comes from the word Nechama, comfort. Yaakov knew when he went down to Egypt, the Jews are going to be in Golus, suffering in Egypt for 210 years. As a Jewish leader, Yaakov Avinu planted hope for the Jews in Egypt, telling them, listen, guys, you need to take these trees because you're going to be saved. You're going to be saved one day. And you're going to build God a Mishkan. So Yaakov Avinu comforted the Jews. That's why he did it. He wanted, because that's the definition of a leader, that even when Jews have hard times, a proper leader comforts them and gives them hope and salvation, and things are going to be good, So Yaakov Avinu participated in comforting the Jews, and therefore he planted the trees in Egypt rather than just saying go buy them from the neighboring community.
The cedar tree is also red on the outside and white on the inside, right?
I don't know.
I think I just.
Could be, I don't know.
Yeah.
But now, why did Hashem want that the Mishkan should be built from Atzi Shitim? What's wrong with another wood? So Chazal say like this. The word Shitim comes from the word Shtus. Sota, Rashi says, is a woman who turned away from the proper way. The word Shitim comes from the word Shtus. Now, what does the word Shtus mean? When you say somebody is a shota, a fool, Rashi says the reason why a fool is called a fool because there's a normal path. Okay? Anybody who's below normal, intellectual, whatever, is called a shota, a fool. But just like there's a fool below normal, there's a turning, again, shtus means to turn. There's a turning above normal. In Malachim, there's a pasuk that somebody said, a great person said about the Navi, a prophet, Madua Baha Meshuga Hazeh. Meshuga, you know what Meshuga means? A crazy person. Why did this Meshuga guy come? He refers to a Navi. What does it mean? Because what does Meshuga mean? Not normal. You can have not normal below normal, and you can have not normal above normal. Now, when things are good, the Rambam says you should never be an extremist. You should be a middle-of-the-road guy. Don't be an extremist, just go the middle path. What happens when you bent all the way to the left and you want to get it back to the middle? So then you need to go all the way to the right, right? You just can't put it to the middle because then it's going to be 45 degrees. You want to get back, you have to bend it all the way to the opposite side. Hashem says in building the Mishkan, you want to build a home for me, God says, take your foolishness of world and transform it into foolishness of Kedusha. The Gemara tells a story. There was rabbis from the Gemara, great rabbis, that would dance crazily at weddings. It was like not dignified dancing of these holy rabbis of the Gemara. And one of the rabbis told off his friend, he says, you're shaming us. I mean, you're a scholar. Don't act like a crazy guy. And the Gemara says, when that rabbi died, a pillar of fire came out from heaven to separate him from the rest of the world, showing he was super holy. And the same rabbi that screamed at him said, Hana le shtusa l'savit. The shtus, the foolishness, the craziness that he did, that's what made him so holy. So Hashem says, you want to build a Mishkan, you want to build a home for me, I'll tell you what you need to do. Take all the foolishness of world, craziness, and be crazy in Kedusha. To give you a simple example, as a Chabadnik, start going in the street and say to somebody, excuse me, are you Jewish? Would you like to put on tefillin? Is not very normal. I mean, now it became normal because Chabad does it all over the world. But it's not really a normal thing to stop a guy in the street, excuse me, are you Jewish? Or if it's a woman, maybe you light Shabbos candle. I mean, nobody ever did it. Why do we need to do it? Because the world is so crazy, we have to do craziness to bring them back. And just to finish with this point, therefore, what were the boards called? Keresh. Keresh, Kuf, Reish, Shin, is the same letters as Sheker. Falseness, lying. Hashem said, you want to build a Mishkan for me? Make Shitim, take the shtus of the world, make it into shtus of Kedusha, foolishness of Kedusha, crazy things of Kedusha. Make the falseness, the lies of the world, which represents opposite of Torah. Torah is emes, and make it into a board of the Mishkan. That's what you need to do. Okay. Anyway, Mitzvah Shem Wednesday night will be on Zoom, Halacha and Tanya. Until then, it's good to be back, and we'll be in touch.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
And
you.
Thank you.
have a
Thank
great
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good to have you back.
Thank you.
Sei gesund.
Take care.
Bye, good, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll